forces inside. They can be entrenched. But the question is, how many forces can Emerald actually get inside? Are they spawning asunder and then switching squad leads to bring in more people inside? Because they don't have a...
Well, they are properly set up, and they do have a lot of sunders. They're making exceptionally good use of that vehicle bay area.
Wow.
And the air can't do anything inside this particular tech plant. And the fact is, they are still outpopping the Cobalt forces.
There's one heroic heavy from Cobalt that just went down. He was between all the sunders.
And this is going to be horrendous, because right now the best response that Cobalt can do, and this is somewhat indicative of what happened previously when Miller lost the tech plant right at the very end, there are lots and lots and lots of sunders. I mean, this is like a full bay full of sunders, and most of them are all repair sunders with bulldogs or furies, simply just being suppression for the rear spawn. So you can't take the tubes in, therefore you have to go outside and take the side doors. Now, and then on the other side doors we have harassers with DPAs. 4 harassers with
upstairs and 4 harassers at the back doors.
Then factor that in with the best thing in the 2 minutes 30 seconds. The best thing that could probably happen for the never mind. I was going to say the best thing that Cobalt could do is use the last vehicle terminal that's outside next to their spawn room and use it as a measure to pull out vanguards. Perhaps come in through the sides of the tech plant and use it as a form of killing off the sunders at the back and giving yourself some extra maneuverability to get inside the base. But right now this is extremely well locked down. And why is it locked down? That one vehicle terminal.
Yep, exactly. The Air Force is outside, but they're completely useless for this base at this moment. And that one vehicle terminal really turned this around. Without that vehicle terminal, Emerald wouldn't be able to pull this off.
While this is also going on, Emerald has forces at Matherson's Triumph, and Cobalt has managed to resecure Freyr substation yet again. But this is not the only assault that Emerald is managing to pull off. They still are attacking other places. The Bulwark is also ticking.
Cobalt's got one Vanguard at the vehicle's field. Pushing in and trying to take something out, but
the Cobalt forces are doing a good job at basically, jumping in and suiciding onto the sunders. But the problem is those sunders aren't there to just be a solid wall. They're just simply as a time delay. The vast numbers of sunders are just stalling for time, and the number of Cobalts we see on the minimap now is rising and rising and rising. In fact, it's got to the point they're actually already on the capture point. They've cleaned out the sunders at the stairs, and that was always the vulnerability. There was a strong defense on the balcony, but it was always weak where the main gun was on the kind of lower platform. And they've just swamped in galore onto the tech plant. And in fact, they outnumber 2-1. But the thing is, how many people have they pulled to make this happen, though? Because it's both plus 96s. And it's 43-51 in favour currently of Emerald. So we're getting to that point with 11 minutes, 12 minutes to go. The time it takes to save the base for the timer to go back, and then the time it takes to then capture a base, we can already rule out the Ice and Mountain Pass probably won't be captured in time. So, the options that are left to the Cobalt forces are getting more and more limited.
They've managed to save Bulwark. They've managed to save the tech plant. It looked like they were saving Matherson's Triumph.
Bulwark's still going down.
Bulwark's not saved yet.
Oh, it was just a moment. They had somebody on the point. Hang on.
That was a great play from Cobalt at the tech plant, because they realized they couldn't go through the tunnels with all those sunders and PPAs on the balcony.
Something new.
The back doors were
I was
vulnerable.
so fast that the map reloaded.
Oh, nice.
So, yes, so the capture point looks like at the Bulwark it's being contested for, that's for certain, but I definitely see more blue on the actual point itself. Yes. Lots of dead Emerald forces.
Freyr substation is under contention again. Yeah, we've got the Zephyr.
All of the
oh, it's a Duster.
All of the attacking force from Isotech plant from Emerald looks like they've moved over to Matherson's Triumph. They're doing another play there. I mean, Emerald understands if they just simply keep the places ticking that they are,
then they're safe.
Cobalt can't even attack them anywhere, and that's what they need to do. That's the only thing they need to do to win this match.
Because the Traverse,
ticking.
The Traverse is safe. Freyr Network Compound is safe, and Freyr Am Station is safe, so long as Freyr Substation constantly is being ticked. Go in, doesn't matter if we don't take it. It's a 4-minute base denial on Freyr Am Station, so it's a very good delaying tactic. with Waterston's Redemption, Constant Inflict, you can get an Echo Valley substation and constantly attacking the bulwark and then going back and forth. Ymir's Southern Reach is never under contention, and even if it was...
10 minutes until match ends. 10 minutes
even if you did,
until match
Ymir's Southern Reach is such an easy base to defend, it's horrendous for Cobalt to try and make any progress.
Emerald is pulling more and more forces into the substation. It was secured by the Cobalt ground forces, but Emerald is pulling in with Sunders, Galaxies, Liberators, Valkyries even.
See that Emerald is trying to reinforce the bulwark. They've dropped in some squads, but unfortunately they ran into Cobalt's Air Force, and even if they were to get this capture point, I'm not sure the numbers... Well, it's 60 seconds to go, so realistically what they're saying is that, yes, you've nearly saved this base, but now we want the capture point back so that we can stop you from grabbing any type of point on Ymir Southern Reach.
Well, I mean, at this point, there is no Emerald base that is under contention. It's only Cobalt bases that are being...
There hasn't been an Emerald base under contention for quite some time now.
I think the Rime Analytics push was the last one, and that was...
Yeah, and even then, when there was a base under contention, there was only ever one base that Cobalt was actually fighting over.
Freyr substation is down to a minute. There is a large push of NC trying to come in here. So they managed,
we're here.
Looks like they managed to get this back.
Galaxy's coming in for NC, multiple.
Yeah.
It's a more convincing save. I mean, there are reinforcements coming in for Emerald onto the capture point, but it's there's so many NC inside now. It's overwhelming. If you're anything but a heavy assault with a rifle that's got extended magazine, you simply cannot kill enough people, even if you get the jump on them, because you run out of ammo.
The Duster Lib is still trying to take out the infantry for Cobalt, but he won't be able to do much.
It's ruthless. The fact is, most of the heavy assaults that are currently fighting at Freyr substation, jackhammers. I mean, that's because it's so devastating on these close quarter, kind of tight corner fights.
Again, Cobalt has left Isotech plant. It is not resecured to 0, and there's 12 of 24 of Emerald back on it. They haven't flipped the point yet, but they're heading back that way.
And see, they're currently playing the kind of redeploy defensive game. So I have not fully saved Isotech plant, but I need to go somewhere else. Where what we would like to see is we fully save the tech plant. Let's now go to Ice and Mountain Pass and start the tick down there. Keep the fight off of our bases and put the fight on the enemy bases.
I don't know. That must have been an air group or something that moved through there, because they're no longer here. Oh, they moved to Waterston's Redemption. They must have been Galaxies flying through. And here is a force of Galaxies, and it looks like armor. They have pulled armor. They've hacked the vehicle terminal here at Redemption, and they now are setting up a... I'm sorry, they didn't hack it. This is Cobalt who's doing this. Cobalt is trying to set up some armor on the hills above Redemption to take out people running out in the open.
Emerald is still reinforcing the push at substation.
They are indeed, and okay, Cobalt's got himself a Vanguard, probably come from the... I don't know where he's come from. Probably from Snowshire Watchtower. And he's been useful in clearing up the armor. Although he's left a Sunder untouched in the garage, probably because he has an infantry support. I wonder if he's going to come back. Where are you going, Vanguard?
Alright, let me try and find the Cobalt Air Force. I'm guessing they're around Waterston's Redemption. Nope.
This is
Most
a
likely the bulwark.
very back and forth 50-50 battle going on at the bulwark right now. The NC hold the stairs with some maxes. There are significantly more VS behind the doors, but they are managing to grenade. The NC are managing to grenade their way onto the point.
Where's the Cobalt Air though? I don't see them anywhere.
They might have just transitioned into the ground to try and attack.
Maybe they are out of resources.
That is also a possibility. The point is so close to... Oh, there are so many people, so many VS still to run in here. This is just not going to work out for the... No, there it goes, the bulwark. Captured by AOD for Emerald.
Oh wow,
there's the
so that's bulwark going
Cobalt
down. And the
Air
fact is, the Freyr substation is also in the 60-second, sub-60-second marker. Now there's no reason why Cobalt shouldn't lose this, but it's getting sketchy.
There's at least part of Cobalt's Air Force over the bulwark, but they're almost at flight ceiling fighting up Emerald
So
Air.
here's another thing, they've been fighting for 2 or 3 minutes now at Freyr substation, and they know where the sun replacement is. Even if Vanguard tried to snipe it out. The fact is, if one squad, or even just 5 people as we said before, went back to Snowshoe Watchtower, they don't need to go back to their warp gate. They can actually pull a Valkyrie from the Snowshoe Watch Gate. They can fly in and they can drop on the Sundra on the northern gate, and you can even drop another second guy and redo it again on the southern Sundra, and they can nuke it, because if with 4 or 5 guys with, you know, AV mines or C4, you can kill Sundras and you can snipe. And the only reason the Vanu are still in this fight isn't because of their beacons, it's because of that Sundra in the north garage that's giving them unlimited resupply and reinforcements.
The VS have gotten back onto the tech plant, and somebody repaired both vehicle terminals at the tech plant now. So they now have both vehicle terminals that they can pull, and they are trying to set up. They have multiple
Captured.
One Sunder they pulled.
It's another base. It's now falling apart for Cobalt. Instead of making the plays and
tech
capturing
plant can't be
bases,
kept anymore, though.
it's falling apart. Yeah, so the tech can't be captured, so there's absolutely no point having any forces there whatsoever. The only chance, realistically, that... Let's see, what can Cobalt do? Cobalt can save Ellie Pass, and they can't actually capture the bulwark anymore, so they have to save Ellie Pass. They can save Waterson's Redemption and go for Echo Valley, but as soon as we get, actually, with 3 minutes and 12 seconds to go, they can't capture any bases. Bummer. So this is it. So now it comes down to an issue of how badly can we prevent a loss. Because the fact is, with the tournament setup, it's not just wins now, it's also by how much you won and how much you lost.
In the time left, the only thing that can happen is Ellie Forest Pass can be captured by the VS, although it's being secured now, so it's basically
on the way back.
end of match.
Well, we'll keep having a look at... they're probably going to play this out, see what the fighting going is, but you're right. Probably the last base that meant anything was Ellie Forest Pass. With that timer down, because we don't have overtime, this last 2.5 minutes is just a free-for-all, have fun.
Yeah.
Cobalt
I
is
see
still
what's
going
happening.
for...
Real fast.
oh. Hello, Lancer.
So Lancer,
Yeah.
we'll have you in channel so that when you give the final countdown for the end of the match, you can be in here as well and hear us.
Gotcha.
I think honestly, I mean, the early game, what really helped Emerald was there was the back and forth between Freyr. They captured it, then Cobalt captured it, then they captured it back, and that really helped them. That put them up a point. But it was that moment where Matherson's Triumph
Lander on
almost was
call.
captured.
2 minutes until match end.
When Matherson's Triumph was almost captured and all of Cobalt had to redeploy there, that was when you really saw things change. After that, it was just fatigue from Cobalt. It's not so much that the dam broke and a whole bunch of bases got captured for Emerald at that point. It's just that thing that they did with a 12-man or 24-man group, and then pouring everyone on and having to have a 10-15 minute fight over there, having a bunch of other bases that we're constantly capturing. That, to me, is where this match turned. Up until that point, Cobalt was neck and neck. There was always something they could attack. There was always something that they could threaten Emerald with. After that point, there really wasn't. They were constantly having to go put out fires everywhere across the map.
And what's interesting, statistically speaking, is that Emerald is actually down on kills. And this is different from live play, guys, with this last 60 seconds of the game to go, is that Emerald played the objectives, and they played them beautifully well. And even if they got farmed, and even if they got killed, and they didn't have great KDs, it doesn't matter. It's all objective based. Who can
Lander
win?
on call. 1 minute.
So even some of the players that we're looking at, some of them will have very impressive KD ratios and kind of what they did, and that's great. Being an effective soldier or infantryman or whatever is great, but the fact is, if you're just that loyal soldier, that one guy that ran in and distracted the 4 other people and you died so that everyone else could get on the capture point, you are an extremely valuable person.
Yeah. Can you tell me the Reaver against
30 seconds.
Scythe kills?
Yep. There are 1,322 current Reaver kills made by Reavers, and there are 626 Scythe kills
Basically
made by
double.
Scythes.
Interesting.
15 seconds.
Galaxies make up 309, And then comes AI Mana turrets at 212, 198 Sunders.
7,
Libs make 167.
5, 4, 3,
No Mag Riders though, at all.
1. Good game. Matches end.
Right, there we go.
And we can see the map timeline as
Can
we're
you
bringing
call
up
out the score as well, Lanzer?
Score is 55 Emerald, 39 Cobalt. Emeralds won. Great job. And the 2 interviewees, please come back to the interview channel. Thank you.
So we're looking at the stack tracking right now, and we're looking at the map timeline as we just move away from some of the combat to get quieter. And it's a clear picture. Both teams, right up in the first kind of like third of the match, maybe the first half, they're getting themselves up to the point where they're taking on the neutral territory. And then it's just a complete slogging back and forth. Cobalt takes a base, Emerald takes a base. Cobalt takes a base, Emerald takes a base. And that goes on for 5 or 6 different base caps, back and forth, back and forth. But the fact is, Cobalt is never able to take a base and yet secure the one behind, because Emerald was playing it beautifully, applying pressure, and they got the easier base cap. Cobalt really had to fight for any type of base capture, and then at that very end, that last half hour, it just seemed to fall apart for Cobalt with the pressure constantly applied everywhere. And as we can see on the map, the last 3 or 4 base captures all go in favour of Emerald, and it just seals the game entirely.
That it was a very, very close match all the way up to the end, and I think you just start seeing fatigue of people. There's only so many times where you can go pull a max, and also you start running into the issues of, do you have resources to pull a max? Do you have resources to pull that grenade to clear the point? Those all become issues as the match goes on in length.
Right, so
everyone.
We do. So we're going to go up and talk to our representatives of the 2 servers and see what they felt went well, and perhaps for Cobalt what they felt went badly.
All right.
Hello guys, how are you all doing after that 2 hours?
Hey, good.
That was a very, very close match for the majority of the time. I just want to congratulate Emerald and say good job, Cobalt. It was extraordinarily close the entire time. Do we have the Cobalt Force Command in here?
Not yet. He's coming.
Okay.
Can you drag up Limgar? He's right below us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Forcefully can't get up here. Yay.
All right. So I guess I'll go ahead and start with Emerald. So Emerald, what did you think of your match? Were you constantly on the edge of your seat? Did you feel safe the entire time? How did that go for you?
Yeah, very, very interesting game. GG to our opponents. Very, very fast redeploys, very smart. I've had to really think on my feet and yell at my guys a lot, but I'm sure they did too. We were willing to concede some ground, knowing that we could play with that, and we were ready to take some ground. All in all, I think it went to plan. Maybe a couple bases we didn't get, but otherwise, my forces did great. Couldn't have asked for more.
Now, Cobalt, how do you feel that your opening went, and what strategy? Did you get the bases that you wanted? Did you have the places that you thought you could push, or did you have to kind of think on your feet after the bases settled in the beginning of the game? Is there still somebody from Cobalt or no? Oh, they can't speak.
Yeah, talk powers as we begin.
No, we didn't get the main base we wanted was Rhyme. We had others as well. We didn't get Rhyme, and after that we had to work around it and try and find breakouts elsewhere. Apart from that, the start went like probably 75% successful. We came out okay. It was close enough that we got the Octagon. We really didn't want to lose that. We did okay at Freya. Wymere was a really good little save on that neutral base from them. But overall, I think it went okay for us, but we didn't get Rhyme, and yeah, on that warp gate, you don't get Rhyme, it's not good for you.
Now, in the beginning parts of the match, Freya Ramp Station traded hands twice, if not 3 times. Talk about that. I mean, Emerald, did you want to go for it off the beginning? Was that a reaction after you saw it got capped by them? And then as I said, it went back and forth. You guys kept on fighting over it. Was it just a matter of not really caring about the base, or could you not get your forces over there quick enough to re-secure the base?
From a time perspective, Freya Ramp is new. I say that loosely. It's been around for a while now, and you can cap it very quickly, and you can gal drop onto the 3 points. So it's not really a huge concern if you lose it. You can get in there and cap it back as long as you have the satellites to allow you to do that. So we were willing to concede that to focus people on the longer cap bases. Ymir is obviously something that is jewel in the crown on Esamir, so we needed to make sure we have that. That was obviously a priority. But we came back into Freya, although, I think ideally you'd like to keep Freya and not have to worry about it. But if you're playing against competitive people, which we were, you're going to have a push and pull on that, which we did. And I think that their attitude seemed similar. Like, we'll go there if we can afford the forces, but you don't want to lose Esamir Munitions or Matheson's Triumph. You don't want to lose Octagon. So they had the advantage of being able to play defensively. We had to be aggressive from the beginning and forever. So every time you try to push on a long point base, you knew you were going to get that last minute max crash coming by. It's just the way it is. So yeah, there you go.
I think one of the big... Oh, go ahead.
I see it. Just the Cobalt thing of that is we had the same thing with Freya. It was last on our list of, like, if you line up the bases you can take in the first 5 minutes. Freya was probably at the bottom of that. We went hard for Rhyme. We had people ready so that we could go for Freya, and then when Rhyme was saved, we decided to take Freya as a consolation prize.
I'd say probably one of the big highlights for Cobalt was capturing Isotech Plant and then its defense twice. Talk a little bit about how you managed to get the tech plant and then how you used it and how you had to defend it for the rest of the match.
Well, that was us, so I'll talk about that. But we saw that we thought that they were going to go for that with some sort of tech plant turtle harasser madness. So right at the start of the match, I sent all our squad there to basically blow up all the terminals inside and at the spawn room and at ISA Southern. Basically, if they were going to bring harassers in there, they were going to have to pull them from zero. So I just thought, let's just try and scupper that. I don't know how that worked out in the end. I think they must have ditched it, and it was just infantry the first time when we fought over it as a neutral base. And I think what happened was, like, a squad from whoever was in that platoon went to the SCU to trip it or something, and like we just got like a local advantage inside and we pushed them off and took it, and straight away just started flipping Isa Mountain. And although there were a lot of people still in Isa Tech Plant for Emerald, we just thought we'll just backcap them, and everybody just went to Isa Mountain. We secured a tech plant like that, even though the tech plant was in ruins. It didn't even have an SCU, and there was about 100 enemies in there. So that was how it went the first time we went there. And the saving was just trying to get people down the balcony and making them think that's where you're going to come from, and then just rushing the stairs. It's generally, by the time like word of mouth makes it through that you're not going down the balcony anymore, it's too late and you're on a point.
Now, I mean, there were certainly points in this match where, even though Emerald was leading for the majority of the time, there were times that, as a caster, I certainly felt like Cobalt was right there. I mean, there were times where almost I'd have to look at the score and remind myself you guys weren't ahead. That changed at some point. What do you think the turning point was? What do you think the turning point from being a really close game where you only need a base or two to either even it up or take the lead to constantly having to defend? Was there a point you can point to for that?
From me, I'd say with about half an hour to go, it was, I don't know, maybe to fight on Cero and then the constant defense of SM munitions. And about half an hour left, we were being pushed in, and we had all of our bases were constantly being defended. And as soon as that hits you with half an hour left, I still thought, we're not in a bad position here, but we're running out of time. We need to actually secure bases, and they were always pushing on, and we were always having to defend bases rather than move out. And with about half an hour left, 20 minutes left, I think up until then, I thought, this is, we're losing, but it's close. We just need one or two bases. But with half an hour to go, it kind of dawned that the time was running out, and we tried to play a bit more aggressive and play around and just try and take a base and play a bit more risky, and it didn't work out. That's why we started losing a couple more bases towards the end.
What about the I mean, we did kind of put more concerted effort to follow the air game. It seemed that Cobalt definitely had more air throughout the game consistently. I mean, is that something you, Emerald, decided we'll have a token forceful attack, or were you just surprised by how much that Cobalt was throwing at you?
VS if you play live, know that you're not necessarily the strongest air, and it's different on live, but certainly in these events, it's just a lot harder in a scythe to win air dominance. So we designed our air force to work more in a reactive way for our ground forces rather than to just have general air-to-air cover everywhere. And it allowed us to have a lot more forces on the ground, and some would argue that the VS strength is on the ground, so that's where you should apply that.
Yeah,
good.
I commentated the air for this match and followed the air battles mostly, and I saw that Cobalt had about a platoon up, and they ran around in a big blob of Reavers. But they couldn't really do much against the ground. They did ground pound with their full platoon, but they didn't spread out as much. And the Emerald forces that were basically a 2-squad token force with Liberators sometimes ground pounded when they didn't have the intention of the Cobalt force. But I was wondering what the intention of both sides with the air was. What was Cobalt's opinion of how the air game went?
Well, sure isn't here who leads our air, so I don't know exactly how he felt it went, but our intention with the air has always been, after 4 or 5 games ago now when we lost to Connery, we realised that you have to have a big force of air because we just got decimated by it. And I think that's changed a bit with how the resource work. Now you can't completely strangle them out and just go to full-on ground farming like we've done in our previous games. And I think that maybe Emerald's way is something that people need to consider, of having a more reactive air force that can use the resources more effectively and then join on the ground when they're not needed. But our aim has always been just to get a big air force. I think Cobalt Air is very good, and it's a strong part of our game, and we try and use it in those blobs on the fights where we want to take a base. Calling in 48 or 36, however many we need, can really turn the fight.
A question I have for Emerald is, was there ever a point in the match where you felt really threatened, where you felt like, this, we have to stop this, we have to stop what's going on here, or this could completely change the match?
From a motivational standpoint, you want to cap every base you go to, so every time you don't get a cap, it's hitting you that maybe you did something wrong. But you got to be smart about it. So just like our opponents are defending the Isotech, they can rush in at the last minute. They have time to kill before they need to redeploy there, and our guys are wasting their time not killing much. In the same way, we did the same thing. So I decided at Sarah Listening Post, they can waste a lot of time at Sarah Listening Post, and we'll just crash it at the end. But it's a bit of a... You hold your breath because you've got that 30-second window that they need to make the cap, and you assume they're going to do it. So I got to give props to my guys, and I'll do this now. Four outfits basically led this in some way. Lots of outfits to mention, but I'll just mention 4 in alphabetical order. So AC, Void, he was in charge of one big detachment. AOD down at Ymir, in charge of a detachment. DA Ender was in charge of more of the central area, and Volt Rage more at the Freya end. So really, without those 4 guys keeping an eye on the map on my behalf and redeploying their forces, it would have been very difficult to win. But yeah, to answer your question directly, I'd say Sarah Listening Post was definitely one of those things. And after what happened in the Smash yesterday, it was pretty obvious that there was going to be a play at Rhyme. So we were very much ready for that.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for talking to us. That was very